Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar we have Greg Halliday
Hello,
and
everybody.
we have Lisa Tucker and we have Jessica Alexander.
Hi.
Hey, how
And,
you doing, Jessica?
Hey, Greg, long time.
Yes.
so part of why this particular interview is very, very special to us is that we have an upcoming group, and we have called it the Balanced Mind Group for a number of reasons. But basically, this particular interview, we're looking forward to what we're going to cover in helping people with a number of things. So I won't spill the whole thing. So without further ado, I would like to introduce everyone on the call to Greg Halliday. Greg Halliday has been an expert in quality herbs for 20 plus years, and he founded this company with many people in mind. And I think many of us who are in the Soul family recognize that sentiment very well, that he has a lot of heart for many of us. And thank you for being here, Greg.
Well, it's my pleasure, Satinka.
And part of tonight, Greg, would you start out by telling us, I have to look at my notes because I don't want to forget. I've packed some stuff in here.
That's okay. Notes are good.
So I would like to hear from you, or have you share with our guests why you started Soul. And I think that will cover part of our philosophy and how that impacted your family.
Absolutely. And Satinka, you've asked me this question before for people who have been on here before. I know there are a lot of new faces, but it's interesting to me how every time I get asked that question, different thoughts come to mind. And I think the reason for that, I always hope, and I feel this way tonight, that something that we all share can be a real difference maker for you. Whatever your reason is that you got on tonight, whatever your reason is, either whether for yourself or your family or a friend or someone, someone else in mind, I do know that what we'll talk about tonight is life-changing information, and it has been that way for me and my family, and for all the families that are part of Soul. It's why we're driven to pass this information on, if we can, to all households, because it's something that's good for a lifetime and not just for a moment. I had a friend tell me about natural herbs when I was 26, but it really wasn't my first experience. To be honest, I lived in South America for 2 years when I was 19, and while I was down there, I got this head fungus. I don't know why I'm chuckling. Maybe I'm chuckling because back when I got it, I had all this hair. And I tried everything. I went to several hospitals in the country, and there were parts where you could get, all the pharmaceuticals that were available. Creams, they gave me different ointments and creams, and all it would do was chase this fungus to a different side of my head. Sounds funny. And one day, the lady who cooked for us, who was a really good friend, her name was Nydia, she could cook anything. And what we loved about Nydia is she just made us laugh. She made us feel at home, even though we were clear down at the bottom of South America in Paraguay. We just always felt at home sitting in Nydia's kitchen. And she saw me itching my head once, and she said, "Let me look at your head." She had a nickname for me. I'm not going to tell you what it was. But she said the nickname, and then she said, "Let me look at your head." And she goes, "You have a fungus." And I'm like, "Okay, why are big chunks of my hair falling out?" And bald spots would be different places on my scalp. She went into her backyard, which was tiny, cut some plants that were like a grass or a grassy bush, as best I can remember, boiled them, let it cool, put it in one of her pitchers, like a typical pitcher that you might put punch in, that had a cap. And she said, "I want you to use half of this when you wash your hair tonight. Don't use any other shampoo. And then tomorrow night, use the other half, and don't do anything else with your hair." And so I said, "Okay." And after fighting this for a year, trying her liquid plants, my head, it all went away and healed literally that fast in like 2 days. That was my first experience. And later in life, when I had a friend invite me to work for an herbal company, I had another experience with my asthma and allergies. So I think what led to Soul was a number of experiences. And when it came right down to the time when we decided to found Soul, it was my family and not myself that opened our eyes to something we hadn't seen before, even though by now I had been for almost 20 years involved with herbs. And in my family, we had solved, I say solved, I don't know if you ever really solved it, but we had managed so every major health situation we'd had naturally, and we were so much happier and really blessed, I believe, because of what people shared with us. That's what changed us. We knew mostly how to take care of ourselves. So when my wife was pregnant with our fifth child, and I always joke, we live in Utah. If you don't have at least 5 kids, they make you move out. And we wanted to stay. We like the mountains. So we were having our fifth. And then we had a cushion child. Her name is Grace. She's much more than that. She's sweet. And she's 13 now. Today she texted me and asked if I would check her out of school because she had a headache. The answer was no, by the way. But anyway, she's sweet. And my wife, after really having really healthy, good, positive pregnancies, suddenly had a very difficult one. And what came with it was a very severe depression. And it really caught us off guard. I say that, but to be honest, looking back, my wife could see it getting harder, like building to that point. It wasn't just, it didn't just come out of nowhere, even though I thought that at the time. But her health got to that point. And it wasn't just a postpartum. It remained, even when we had our last child, Grace, who's our 6th. Donna really suffered through that. And in the end, she made the really difficult situation after years of just using plants for her health, of going to the doctor and actually getting a prescription. That was what she chose instead of being admitted to the hospital, which is what their recommendation was. She was suffering so much. So a very, very difficult time in her life and in our lives. And the way she went about that was to view it as the next step, maybe a bridge, while we continue to look and learn. And we could not figure out how, in a company with 600 different products, we couldn't find an answer. That was the hard thing. But our approach was very different than our approach is now with Soul. We just didn't know this at the time. We were trying to treat everything individually and stop up holes individually, even though it was naturally. And what we learned after about 1.5 years of Donna suffering through that, she was on Zoloft. I had the incredible coincidence of having dinner with a woman who had totally changed her life around after having gone through a really difficult depression where she lost her job, temporarily her marriage, and had moved into her home with her mother and locked herself in her room for months. So it was super difficult for her. And she shared with me what she did. And in a nutshell, she found, we didn't know it at the time, but she was talking about adaptogenic herbs. So it was a certain classification of herbs that had made a difference. Now, the formulas she used were mixed with a bevy of other herbs too, but at the core, there were these adaptogens. And what was different about them is that they were more concentrated. They weren't just raw powders. So when she shared all this with me, I immediately that night went and told Donna. And Donna quickly jumped on, I'd like to start taking those as well. We got those same products, we added them. She was taking, I've shared this before, between 30 and 60 capsules a day. Now that sounds like a lot, but when what you're going through, what she was going through, small price to pay to be on a better path. And so she started to do this, and she slowly backed down the dose of Zoloft. The Zoloft was already kind of wearing off, if you want to call it. Her body was adjusting already, and it wasn't quite as effective. It was still making a difference. So she was careful, and she talked to her doctor as well, told her doctor what she was doing. The doctor said, oh, you could quit Zoloft anytime. You could do it cold turkey if you wanted. And that was not true, but she did communicate with her doctor. And over about a 3-month period of time, she would slowly back down while she kept taking all the herbs. And if she felt any worse, she'd hold steady for a while. And then when she felt sort of level again, emotionally, then she'd back down a little bit more and keep taking the herbs. And that's what she did until after about 6 months, she was pretty much off of Zoloft, and then in 9 months, entirely off. And we learned a lot during that time. We didn't know all of the ramifications, how much that this experience was going to impact us in the future, and really tens to hundreds of thousands of other lives. And I think eventually millions. That's our hope anyway, because there are that many who need it and more. And of that we've learned over these last 8 years. So what happened is I started to study. There were lots of other events that came together, including all the partners that some of whom came to me, others of whom I approached. It all worked out amazingly easily. Is maybe not the right way, because it hasn't been easy, but it worked out easily to where we could found this company. And we began really learning what adaptogenic herbs were. And we decided to found a company that was based on a daily nutrition to both body and mind. That simple premise was what was changing us and making a difference for us. And we had a vision that we could do that in all areas of health and create products, all of which were designed that way, instead of having to figure out and get the right combination. And I say that there's still a little bit of that, because there are different products and we all are different and we have to find that. But we could cut most of the confusion out and make them products that people could feel more quickly, see change, and get that hope that keeps us constant in that daily nutrition with the product in our life. And make other changes too, right? To our lifestyle that we need. And all of that was what changed us and brought us to Founding Soul. But I think the core of it was this secret, I guess, of adaptogenic herbs. So with that, Satinka, I hope, was that sort of enough of that intro, or any other parts that I maybe missed in that?
No, that's good. Because you led into how, you want it to be simple, but because of our being so individual, I could do it differently than Jessica can. And, we all can do it differently and still have the effects that we want. And then something else that I thought, because of your experience and all the herbs, you saw that it doesn't just take one. It took, unfortunately, yes, that sounds crazy, 30 to 60, but that was in an effort to find the balance. Okay, what's doing what, and how do I use them all together?
Right.
So
yeah, and I guess one last thing I should add that I didn't in the story, when we indeed started the company and founded it, and we began work on the first product, that product was for my wife Donna. The product Adaptable, which is a capsule product, replaced the 60 a day for 2 to 4, and sometimes she might do 6 or whatever in a day. So she's using sets of 2 of a product instead of these sets of 30. And that was at her request when she knew we were going to do this. She was the one throughout the research process that would use the adaptogens as we added different adaptogens, as we learned how we would concentrate and which we would combine together. And at what point, that product was what we felt was perfect for that daily use. So Adaptable is a product that is part of Soul Vital, the foundational drink of the company, and then also that capsule.
That's awesome. Thank you. That covered what I wanted. Thank you. And then I just wanted to share real quick how Adaptable has been for me, because when I first started, I was addressing physical illness or physical crisis, really not knowing what I had gotten into when I started with Soul. And I was using the Vital and Cinemate and the probiotics. And I think the Complete, because I was pregnant and I wasn't eating. So I started with just something simple, and I kind of stayed with that for a while. And, Lisa helped me understand why that package was helping me, just building up health in me and that. And later, after a while of, being around the community, hearing different stories and hearing about what anxiety really was, and depression. And I was never able to say that was what I was going through, because I would, no joke, kind of beat around the bush when I would go into a doctor, and I'd say, so is there anything I can do for maybe, I think I'm a little bit moody, or I would because I didn't know how to even bring it up, and I didn't want to, because I'm like, at the time I was a single parent, and I'm like, I don't want them to think that I'm in trouble. Don't tell them anything. And then, usually they'd brush me off. You need to sleep more, dear, or whatever. And so anyway, with that simple package, and then being introduced to Adaptable and starting to use Adaptable, that was when my family noticed. My husband was the one who made a comment. He's like, your fuse is a lot longer. And, at the time I was like, what are you talking about? You hang out with kids all day. See how you do.
Exactly. Let's talk about your fuse.
Yes. So again, kind of add that up. I knew I was feeling a little bit better. I started hearing all these stories. And then my husband points it out. I was very aware I felt like I was able to really see and draw a difference. Like, something terrible happened, which probably wasn't really terrible, but I could think about the old me, I like to call it, and think about how I responded. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even freak out. I actually knew what to do, and even was able to give instruction to 3 children while taking care of said problem. And so that was when I really knew. I was like, wow, because I was kind of getting a little bit of that in Vital, but then when I started the Adaptable, it was like another level of like, no, I got this. And, stress is like, what? Oh, okay, go get a Band-Aid. Like, deal with it that way. So that has been very, very impactful in my life about the Adaptable. We'll have some of the other share later. So now, since we're talking about how packages and how things kind of complement and work together, would you share about how Soul Vital and Soul Renew help balance the mind, keeping in mind that's the upcoming group, Balanced Mind?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, okay, you made me think of this, Satinka, talking about your experience. But you know what? When I asked my friend that I met at the dinner before Soul, before I could even share with Donna, hey, look what she did. Are you interested in this? This friend, okay. When I asked her what changed when she started taking what we now know are adaptogens, it's interesting. The greater part of her list were physical things. Well, what was really happening, and we know that now, was it was balancing things emotionally and mentally, and in that manner. The physical was healing and much, much faster and more issues. Oh, and she named a few of them. Like, I always had this and that stopped, and I had this and that stopped. And that is what I want to say when we think about Soul Vital and Renew, 2 of the products in the package that you're going to feature, right? Those are 2 of the signature drinks. There are 4 signature drinks, and those 2 are the balancing formula and the calming formula. And honestly, when you take them together, we call it Revital, because it's Renew and Soul Vital, and because we're weird. But we call it Revital because it vitalizes mind and body, and the way it does it, adaptogenic herbs, scientists still debate why they work like they do. We know some reasons, though. They are full of a variety of components, a variety of nutrients, famous and and not as known. Okay, like they know the category of a nutrient type, like it's a polyphenol, it's this, it's that, but there are many varieties, and they'll argue over why they work. But for some reason, they constantly continue to go back to studying why they help our stress response, why they help our mood so much, why they help emotion, why they help memory, cognitive function. Why is it that they, at the same time, improve gut health? One of the most powerful influencers, and maybe most immediate, right, on our gut, which is so much about how we feel on a daily basis when we live, is really dictated by our mind and our mood and our emotions. And adaptogens, since they work right there, they're always improving those other things. So we don't know all the reasons, Satinka. I mean, I know you know that. That's why it's such a good question. But we know some of them. The adaptable blend is 6 different adaptogens, and that's part of Solvital, and that was Donna's formula. So the capsule, and then in the drink, that same blend. The capsule has 1 additional herb, but the drink has the six adaptogens. And then Renew has several of its own adaptogens, including one of them. One of our favorites to talk about is the marrow root. I actually love Lisa's way of explaining marrow root better than my own. But marrow root's a rebuilder. It's a repair, a restorer, a repairer, both physically and emotionally. That's what it does. And so the studies are really powerful. When there's studies of taking it once a day. There are studies of taking it 4 and 5 times a day, this adaptogen. And that brings me to the point about adaptogens. And one of the things I love, they're in the category of plants that the Chinese would call superior herbs, because you can take them every day. They're meant to be that way. To me, they're like that invisible thing where you can take some nutrition and you feel what's going on because it causes heat or whatever, and you know it's changing. Adaptogens, they do their thing without all that other effect. They normalize down to the way our cells produce energy, down to the way we send signals, communication signals between, I think, brain and gut, and between vital organs. So for me, I mean, one of the most fascinating studies I read early on was one where they showed that the heart itself, besides being a pump, actually produced a hormone. Really? The heart. There's so much we're learning about how the body is interrelated, right? And there's so much we don't know. What we do know is that adaptogens work on that balance. Because they're so broad in nutrition, and because of the nature of the plants themselves, by that I mean the way the nutrition is structured in the plant, they just work differently. And when they're part of that nutrition, whatever you combine with it, and we combine various things with our adaptogens, they make an impact that I think is much greater and much more lasting than what I had seen and what we had experienced before, even with very quality supplements for many, many years. So Renew and Solvital are some of the best, and they have, it might be the highest number of total adaptogens. It's a really good choice. Those two together for this world, the typical lifestyle we all choose and go through, I love that mix of Vital and Renew. Now, they don't have the same, I saw a quick question flash up. They don't have the same adaptogens. Renew and Vital have two different sets. The Vital has the set that is called adaptable, and then Renew has a whole other set. There's one, I take it back, I think Schisandra's as well in Renew, and is in, I've got my box right here. Let me tell you really fast, okay? The adaptogens in Renew are the Raponticum or marrow root, Schisandra, which is one that's in the other. I believe that wood betony, though it's not always in adaptogen lists, it's also adaptogenic, wood betony. So anyway, and so it's a different group. And I think Tammy just clarified, Satinka, in her question. I think she's saying the same as Vital in the drink and the capsule. Yes, and it is okay to take them both together, absolutely, because you have some difference in them. Think of it this way. A Vital is like a daily dose and sort of a maintenance, if you will. And adaptogen is a boosting, adaptable, the product would be a boosting strategy where I'm really strengthening. So I want more. In essence, a couple of capsules of adaptable would be double the adaptogens of Vital. Most people do take them both because the Vital also has essential minerals and chlorophyll, a group of 4 chlorophylls and a group of 4 plants really high in minerals that are not in the capsule. And you want the rest of that to balance the whole system and to change the terrain so that you receive the nutrition better in the body. So they really are made to take together. Okay, Satinka, back to you.
Yeah, I like how you just said that about changing the terrain. I remember learning in another webinar where someone said with the chlorophyll blends that are in Soul Vital, when you're balancing out your pH, then you'll be able to receive all the nutrients that you're getting. Right. And, so there's differences in what's in Vital versus what's in Adaptable. Excellent coverage of that. So Jessica, I would like to share about her Vital and Renew experiences.
All right, so I love them all. But anyway, so we're here though talking about the Renew and the Vital. So I've been doing Soul products for now 6 months, and I have been on these since the beginning, these two, and I absolutely love them. The first thing with the Vital, this is kind of a silly thing, but I remember trying it for the first time over at a class, and for some reason it reminded me back of the day of Kool-Aid. I don't know why.
Yes.
But it just reminds me of Kool-Aid. And since I'm a health coach and I'm a trainer, like it's never something I ever drink anymore. So it's kind of like a fun drink. It sounds a little weird, but that's something that I really enjoy. And also for me, because I work out and I do a lot of hiking, it's always for me, it's always kind of my pre-workout drink. Just, I usually work out about 9 or 10. So that's kind of the time I take it. And I love it. I feel good with it. It's refreshing. It really energizes me. It gives me that stamina and that ability to really get a good workout for me. And even during my day, like sometimes when I'm getting tired with my 5 children, it's, I'll take a Vital, because it's Vital, or I'm not living for the day. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I love about it for me is when I started really digging and learning about, what's really in these drinks. And for me, when I really find out that they're truly plant-based, it's not, years ago, I took so much other garbage and I stopped drinking it because of all the garbage that was in there, all these fillers. And when I found Soul, I was like, this is what I want. I want to feed my body. I don't want to just, have to process more stuff. So that's, for me, that's why I love Vital. So, but my favorite is the Renew. And for many reasons, I'll tell you guys why. Number one, I am a type A. So as Satinka and Lisa probably know me from 6 months ago, I was like all day. I would talk so fast. I'm from New York. And this is actually really slow for me today. And I had attention deficit disorder. I was diagnosed when I was younger, learning disabilities, dyslexia. And this was one of the first things that I started taking that I started noticing a difference of focus. And I remember talking to Satinka one day and I was like, can I take this stuff during the day? She's like, yeah, stick it in your Cinemate and your Renew together. And I'll tell you, I work with clients doing health coaching, and all of a sudden my sessions were like this. Everything was so calm. It was amazing because I never had that before. And so I was like, I even just finished mine right now. I love it. And so that was one. Another big thing for me is because I was having so many adrenal fatigue issues, my sleep was so off. It was deprived. I'd be laying there at 2 a.m. and I was stressing because I wasn't sleeping, knowing I was getting sicker. And all of a sudden, I was getting these deep dreams and these really amazing dreams again. Since I was a kid, I was like, wow, I can dream again. And I knew my body was healing, and we have a sleep number. So I knew I was sleeping better because it would show the number on the bed. I'm like, yes, my husband and I we look at the numbers and we compare every day after or every night. So
Nice.
that's like our competition in the morning. And then the other thing is, again, because I'm that type A, dealing with adrenal fatigue and 5 kids, a business, I have a lot of stress. And so I'll never forget, it was probably about 3 months in when I really noticed it. I was on a work call, and I was actually dealing with a member. And I have, my youngest is 2.5. And I'll never forget, somehow and I'm sure, Greg, you totally get this. My son got into the bathroom and he got something with toothpaste. And all of a sudden I look and he is walking around with the toothpaste all over the house. And I'm like, oh my, like thinking in my head, oh my gosh, I'm like, it's okay, I'll get it later. Not a big deal. And normally
It's just toothpaste.
it's just toothpaste. But before, I would be completely flipping out. You know, otherwise we're cleaning. My kids like me so much better now. Like, they're like, Mom's so much nicer. You know, like, they really like me now. And so, you know, and also for the last bit, talking about my kids for that, I love the fact that I can give this to them, number one, because they love it and they sleep better too. So all my kids, you know, after dinner or nighttime, like, can I have my Renew? And it's kind of like our tea thing at night. So it's kind of, brings our family, it gives us a little bit of a tradition to have our tea at night and to chat and have them sleep really deeply. So I love it. I love the healing of it, Greg. And I mean, this is combined with everything else I've been dealing with. The attention deficit disorder, the ADD, has just been remarkably different. And I noticed that just the last 2 months. So I tell people, I'm like, listen, is it going to happen in a New York minute? No. But, you know, the more, literally, and the more I take it, the better I feel. And I just tell my members, I'm like, you gotta stick with it. You just gotta keep going every day. And I'm just so happy where I'm at. And I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in a year on the healing process. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you mind, Jessica and Satinka, do you mind if I address the Kool-Aid?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Because so many people have said that. You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is, Jessica. It's, okay, we're actually going to change this on the label of our box. You'll notice some of them say natural flavor. And I want you to know something. We never, ever put anything that is synthetic or altered. You can get a natural altered, okay? Where the molecules, they process it so much, they really are in a different state. We don't do any of that. And we're actually going to change and put this on the label. It was sort of our flavoring secret. So at the start, that's the only reason we didn't put it. But we're going to do that now for all the drinks, because we don't want people to worry, what is it there? And if they won't state it, you know me, so I can tell you this is really what it is, but they don't know me. And I want people that, others who maybe see the label. So we will do that. But you know what it is? It's actually a strawberry and lime combination. It's that particular combination that just kind of is a lot like what they must have done, except for not naturally, in Kool-Aid. And it just hits that blend. But you're not the only one to say that. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, thank you. I mean, that just makes me that much more proud about being a part of the Soul family. It's like just a whole nother level of quality. Thank you, Greg. And Jessica, that was great. Thank you for sharing. So, all right. We know that another really cool component of the Soul family is having experience and expertise from Dr. Allison. And one of the other, a lot of people hear about gut health. You said something about it earlier, adaptogens, balancing gut health. And so I just wanted you to share a little bit about one of the other products that we are making sure everyone is including in their package is the Probio IQ, based on, research. Everybody knows, take care of your gut.
Yeah, absolutely. And Satinka, do you mind if I answer that by also, there's a question someone typed in on the chat from Paula, and maybe you can see that. I wouldn't, but I'd love to talk about ProBio, and then we can also answer Paula's question if you want to, or maybe Lisa, either Satinka, either you or Lisa or Jessica, any of you who'd like to comment, because yes, Paula, there's absolutely, you definitely have more options too with what you're doing. ProBio IQ, I love it because in fact, I was having a conversation just an hour ago on another Zoom where someone was asking me about their probiotic, which had a multi-strain. It had a lot of different strains in it. What's the difference between ProBioIQ? And I was explaining to her, there are several things that make ProBioIQ unique. First of all, there are 6 different strains, and variety is key. The more we learn about probiotics, the more we realize we need variety. Okay, so that's one point. Point number 2, these strains were all chosen because they specifically, in addition to doing all these great things in the gut, they have a more pronounced effect on the way we react to stress. They've all been studied for different things like, how anger, how often the reaction is anger, or anxiety, all the different ways people describe their own response to stress. In the words of people who are in the studies, letting them describe it themselves instead of putting words in their mouth, what changes, what's different when they add a significant amount of these probiotics into their diet. So all of these have been part of those studies. And so that's point number 2, they're more specific to that connection between mind and gut. All probiotics are going to help that. Some just have a more pronounced, a more noticeable effect sooner. Third, several of our probiotics in this ProBioIQ are heat resistant. So I always tell people, if you have a couple of bottles, keep one in the fridge. The one that you're using, though, put it where you'll see it so you won't forget to take it. And you can do it. Everyone's different. You can do it once a day. Once a day before you go to bed's awesome. Twice a day, once in the morning away from food and once at night. It just depends on the person. Your mentor can help you with that. But to me, having them be get in your system every day is huge, because we now know, again, to answer the question, Satinka, probiotics help us absorb vitamins better and nutrients better. They protect us. They produce substances that are harmful to other viruses and bacteria, actually bacteriocins and other chemicals produced by the good guys, the probiotics, that drive out the bad guys. That's also known. They actually make several vitamins. In fact, we recently improved our ProBioIQ, as many of you know, just this past year. Why? Because there's a strain that made famous in Germany that is now on the official register of several countries in Europe as a good source of vitamin B12. Happens to be this strain that's in ProBioIQ. It produces noticeable amounts of vitamin B12, which is often lacking in our diets. Not only that, vitamin B6, B9, and B2. I can't remember if the B9, but 4 different of the B vitamins it produces. And you know what? All the probiotics, they all produce different necessary components. So they are truly symbiotic. And it's such a basic, such a building block for gut health. When the gut's doing well, then we're able to rid ourselves of the chemicals, the toxins, the pollutants. That's just part of our world. We don't have to fixate on it. Body's amazing. It can process those and get rid of them. Probiotics, keep those in you every day. They're not like a magic pill. They're not like you take it once and you're fixed. They're a nutrient. That's how I look at them. Because we do so many things, or there are so many things in the world that actually make them die off and kill them. We kind of want to keep them part. They're not expensive to have part of your daily nutrition. Keep them as part of that, because it'll do all those good things. So they do so many good things for us. Everything works better. And when we have probiotics and when we have a variety, even better. Besides that, with the Soul formula, as you know, we're not going to develop a formula without adaptogens. So there is red reishi, which is a known adaptogen, red reishi mushroom, and also Bacopa monnieri. Not necessarily a full adaptogen, but very adaptogenic in several of its properties. So those 2 are quite a uniqueness in ProBioIQ, and I love that you include it in the package, because that's a simple building block that goes a long way with people, and no matter what they're doing with their nutrition.
Thank you. So we will have enough time to finish. I wanted the last part that we know is very significant to this balanced mind and balanced emotions is using an oil. So each package is also going to include one of the ready-made Compass blends, just for simplicity.
You mean like this one?
Yes. So would you give us a brief, like why are oils not just a fad, and why they are important to what we're doing with the nutrition? And then after that, I'll have Lisa share.
Okay, well, I was raised old school, and when I was originally introduced to this wonderful world of healing plants, one of the essential classifications of plants are your aromatic plants, where we source oils. They do so many wonderful things, these volatile oils, and we've learned you don't have to ingest them. Your body can absorb them, and you can also inhale and you can smell them, and they go right to the brain and they make changes. I believe they not only nourish, just because the nutrient is in a different form does not make it less of a nutrient. When they do what they do, balancing, calming, lifting, clarifying mind, they have that direct effect on synergistically with the other nutrition. So I look at them as part of the nutrition. That really is where I view them. And the Compass blends are just ready to use. They are wonderful blends of these 4 categories: balance, calm, lift, clarify, with certain accents. And some new oils that are not in the other blends. And that mixture, it's incredible to me. I even love the names, because in the end, everything we're doing is to give that real feeling, because to me, it's a feeling is only real if it's backed up by all the physical change, by that strength, that internal strength. And so I love that she named them comfort, confidence, courage, and contentment. So I don't know which are you including, Satinka, in the package?
That's where we're going to work individually with
awesome.
each one to help them decide, actually using one of Jennifer's tools to help them decide what category.
Ooh, even better. Okay, so I love that. There are real both physical and emotional benefits that come because of the particular blend of the nutrient, and you've got them complemented with the nutritive side. I know we got to run to Lisa really fast. Is it okay if I mention to Paula's question that I never really answered? She's doing adaptable, doing some things, and she's wondering Thrive and Vital, and she's feeling like, is it quite enough? And let me just say this is the journey we all do. We find the amount with adaptogenic herbs. We listen to our bodies, use the amount up to meeting the need. Sometimes it might be more. Like I said, my wife, she'll do 4 or even 6 adaptable in a day. That's not that she does it every day. Some days will. Some days will be 2. Some will be 4. So you can feel comfortable finding the amount that gets you to where you're feeling balanced, because you can do that. You can get to that point. And I'll just leave it at that, because I know you can have that discussion with your mentor. But sometimes people like to hear it from me that the formulas are made to be personalized, where you can look at the quantity and take what is needed, okay? The recommendation is just a general place.
A place to start, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place to start. Yeah.
So now to Lisa, I would love to hear from Lisa. She's one of our team's certified aromatherapists, and I'd love to hear one of her stories with the oils.
Yes, and I was reading through the chats. I just want to make sure everybody that's chatting in questions knows that your mentor can get you those answers. I know there was one about the safety. I have clients that tiny babies in sippy bottles drink the teas. Pregnant mothers drink the teas all through their pregnancy. So just get with your mentor. And then there was another question regarding PubMed. There's all kinds of PubMed articles about adaptogens and the herbs in these products that are phenomenal articles, and your mentor or whoever invited you to this group can definitely help you with those answers. So I just wanted to make sure everybody felt like they were heard there, and I'll nutshell, let's see what time it is, I'll nutshell what I was going to say about essential oils. I love essential oils. Jennifer Pressimone is the formulator for our essential oils with Soul Naturals. And I actually took a course from her, a holistic aromatherapy course, which was fascinating and wonderful because she's amazing. And there's just so many aspects to essential oils that help balance the mind and body. So they're such a nice complement with what we're already doing. But my story that I wanted to share, I have found myself in depression a few times in my life, not for long stints. But what I wanted to share is what's most recent was I walked my mom through end of life. It was a 2.5-year long battle with cancer. It was extremely difficult to watch somebody's life literally be taken away from them, little bits and pieces at a time. And I know that I was sustained through all of that stress, all of the depression that comes along with watching somebody walk through that by these herbs. I've been on these herbs for 4 years, these formulas, over 4 years now. And they sustained me because I could have ended up where I have been in the past and in flare-ups with autoimmune and bedridden and all kinds of things. And I wasn't. I was completely sustained, just like Jessica was talking about, almost to the ability of being able to walk along somebody. This was the most difficult situation I have ever been in my life, and be rational and calm and accommodating for this person that needs you. You know, they need you to be all those things. And I was able to. And then through the grieving process is where I really started to use the essential oils, diffusing them, using them on my body. And I feel like essential oils have the ability to help our emotions shift in a way that we could never imagine otherwise, and help us be able to deal with things that are outside of our circumstances and control in a way that only if you've experienced it can you fully understand how powerful essential oils are. And I know there again, I was traumatized with nightmares in the beginning of things that I just had to see in my mom. And the essential oils helped me be able to sleep again at night and eventually get on the other side of the traumatic side of what I would visualize when I would wake up. And I just really encourage anybody that is listening to this and going to join the group that we're having here in a short time, that you don't devalue the aspect that essential oils play in this whole package. It is such a powerful component to helping with what we don't take these essential oils internally, we take the herbs internally, and we use the essential oils externally, but powerful element for sure. That's it.
Thank you.
Awesome, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. That was really good. I think without any knowledge of, like Greg was saying, that the oils are still the whole plant. And even your story with the lady telling you to wash your hair, all she did is boil the plant in some water, and it had a great effect of something you'd work on for a year trying to solve. So yes, I think that the more you work with your mentor, get some more information, you'll really see where people are using these oils to affect or to even get things in motion that are stuck. Something I noticed recently, real quick, I wanted to say about the oil was the one that says courage, the courage oil. It leads with the green category. That one, on the information sheet, it mentioned something about helping emotions that deal with fear, and the physical aspect dealt with kidney issues or helped with kidney issues. And that just like light bulb went off. I have a family member who's gone through plenty of kidney problems, and has lived through a lot of fearful situations. And I was like, I don't know, there's quite a correlation there. So again, like Lisa said, don't discount what these oils can do for you and help us move through this process. Did you have anything to add on the oil, Greg?
No, that's fantastic. I love your explanations.
Thank you. So as we wrap up, I just wanted to share something that I also remember in a previous interview with Greg, that I remember you, and it's just really, really stuck with me, is how you said that maybe it wasn't exactly how you said it, but you said true wellness doesn't come without a mentor. And I think that really sums up what we're doing here, why we even have this group coming up, and how we do this together, and even how, when we need help, we go to our mentor, and our mentor goes to our mentor. And I think in many different things that we can go through in our lives, that there's always someone that has helped us walk through it. When you look back, what things have you been through? And someone helped you walk through it. So this is just another way to walk through healing and get that balance that you want. And this is a great place to start. And we're glad that you are here and we're able to get this information and hear from each of us. And Greg, thank you for your time. We really, really appreciate your time. And that's what we got. I'm going to end.
Well, Satinka,
Go ahead.
I want to just thank you and all of you that are mentors, because I want everyone to know that was a conscious choice to structure Soul with Mentors as a mentor-led company, because it's been that way for us too. I can list the number of mentors that have come into my life, and they still are coming in. We mentor each other to a degree too, but I love what you're referring to. That personal health journey for all of us, it is night and day when you have a mentor. And if that is something that feeds your soul, I invite you to learn. There's a great group of mentors here in this group tonight, I know, and come and join them and help us in that mission, because I will just confirm what Satinka said, and just watching it for, this will be my 28th year.
Wow.
It usually, there are exceptions, but it usually doesn't happen unless there's a mentor. That's the odd thing. But when there's a mentor, it almost always does happen, that people see the change, see a result. It's different for everybody and to different degrees, but it always happens where there is a change, a good change. So thanks for everything you do.
Thank you. And so with that, all of we've been mentioning about this upcoming group for the Balanced Mind group, get with your mentor, get with whoever shared this evening's interview with you. And I hope you can join us in that.